Welcome to another episode of the Lone Recruiter Podcast. I'm your host, Brett Clementson. If you're a recruiter, out on your own, or just lacking general guidance or mentorship, you've come to the right place. Our episodes are designed to give you the motivation, the strategies, and the expertise you might need to become the very best lone recruiter. So join us, grab a cup of coffee, and let's take your desk to another level. Now, today is going to be super confusing for everyone because I am joined by Brett Knowles, that is. Not Beyonce Knowles, not Brett Clementson, Brett Knowles. How are you?
Great, thanks, Brett. And what a name. It's always good to meet a fellow Brett.
Or as my daughter likes to call me, Brit. Oi, Brit. She's watching too much New Zealand television.
My Brit still likes to call me Brad, but that's fine. I'll take it any way it comes.
No one actually likes being called Brett. That's the theme here. Look, as you guys know, we like to interview top billing recruiters. I've known Brett for a few years now. We met during COVID lockdown. It was actually quite an interesting way we met up. But, hey, look, I'll leave that to Brett. Want to give us in 60 seconds your story. How'd you get into recruitment? Where are you at now? Let's go.
Absolutely. It feels like a lifetime ago. Brett, I got into recruitment probably like most recruiters did. I fell into recruitment, that good old phrase. I was jogging with a friend. He said, come and do recruitment. I said, sure, why not? Let's get into it. That was circa 2013 when I started my career in recruitment.
Nice.
Ever since then, worked across perm, worked in real estate and property, built up a bit of a desk and practice within the residential real estate market, and then decided to shift on from there, move to a bit of a bigger business, and am now with 6 Degrees, where I started in the digital practice and took on another challenge of contracting. So I took on a contracting desk, built up a contracting book, and then opportunities arose and I moved back into the permanent space and took on an executive role recruiting across the digital landscape within the sort of consumables space. And did that for a number of years, did the $100,000 months, strong billings, those sorts of things like most recruiters strive to achieve. But COVID hit and that caused me to do some self-reflection, and I thought I want to do more than just do the billing side of things, and I have a bit of a passion of teaching and coaching and working with people, and that led me on a journey to unpack an opportunity here at 6 Degrees, which is to now, what I now do in the business, and I've been here 5.5 years, is head up our whole learning and development and employee experience function across the business. So
amazing.
3 offices national. So it's a nice busy role in the recruitment space, trying to offer some of the wisdom that I may have gained over the last 10.5 years to the next generation of recruiters. But
I love it. You can give us some of your wisdom.
What else do you need to know?
No, that's good.
And a Sunday. That's probably my go-to.
You love your what, sorry?
I love my Chardonnay and a Sunday. Who doesn't?
Who doesn't? Well, let's kick into it. That was a great intro. As you guys know, we like to ask the same 5 questions. I'm getting some wonderful questions, wonderful answers to these questions. I'm getting a ton out of it, if anything, and I'm learning. And I actually used some of these just yesterday closing a candidate. I used one of the answers I got off this podcast and it worked a treat. So you know what? It's at the very least benefiting me. So thank you, Brett, for jumping on. First question for you is going to be, if you could only have one KPI to measure your desk, what would it be?
Oh, good question. The dreaded KPIs. I turn it away. It's metrics that matter for me, and I think the metric that matters the most is conversion. Conversion rate. The jobs that you're picking up, how are you converting them? Are you converting them? Because I think that trickles down to the activity that you should be doing, be it more business development, more candidate interviews, more client interactions. So the KPI that I would be focusing on is that conversion rate. Jobs I'm picking on versus jobs I place.
Right, so it's like ends of the spectrum, really. Like how many jobs do I get in? To what's that ratio, basically?
Yeah.
So a lot of people do closer ratios, right? They'd go jobs in versus interviews, or interviews versus placements. But I don't think I've ever heard end to end like that.
Yeah, because I think it feeds when you look at the full cycle of you can have 20 jobs on, right? If you're only feeling that's a lot of activity that you're doing in terms of interviewing candidates, sending CVs, arranging interviews and that sort of stuff. But if only 10% of those are converting, then that might opens up a conversation for, well, where am I going wrong? Is my job brief not actually accurate? And am I not spending enough time consulting with my client around, is this job palatable in the market? Or am I interviewing the wrong candidates? So for me, I think if you can focus on that bigger picture, it just simplifies it. And then you can narrow down and focus in on areas of, okay, I need to improve my interview skills, and I need to do more interviews with candidates to get the jobs filled that I need to job.
And do you have a ratio other than 100% that you like to see? Is there a number that works in your mind?
100%. No, 100%. It's not 100%.
Right.
It's not good enough.
Right.
I reckon if you're somewhere circa 50-60%, you know, because if you've got 5 jobs on, you're filling 3 of them. I reckon that's pretty good.
Yeah.
And you're doing that consistently, right? But you know, KPI. If you haven't got something that you're measuring right, then you can't actually grow, or you can't actually move forward. You can't actually take an opportunity to reflect and go, okay, well, what do I want to do? If my conversion rate's 10%, how do I get it to 12%? How do I get it to 15%?
Yep.
What's the activity? What's the drivers? What's the motivators that I need to do to see that dial shift over time? So,
and it's funny,
it's a metric that can feed into a lot of other areas.
I like it. And we were talking just off camera before about the state of the market, and we're all saying that we're still all very busy, but maybe conversion isn't quite happening the way it was. And we kind of got on the path of, you know, it's ironic that when things tighten a little bit, and it's not even tightening, the jobs are there, the people are there, it's more that both ends are getting fussier. And my resolve, or your resolve, was say, well, sometimes less is more in those scenarios. Like, we need to get more quality, go deeper, and, you know, just say we did have 20 roles on last year, we'd place 50% of them, whatever. There was always going to be more, and it was easy sort of goings, but now it's a bit tighter. If you want to get those 10 placements again, you almost need to have a 1-to-1 ratio, don't you? Like, go deep.
Yeah, and you know, then it breeds and looks at its quality conversations that you're having with your clients and with your candidates. It's quality interactions. It's not just sitting behind emails, sending emails. It's actually getting on the phone and going out and meeting someone, you know, face to face, and having that influence. So it really, in this market, you really got to be looking at the quality more so than just quantity, right?
Absolutely.
Say BD, KPI, do 10 BD calls a day and you're, you know, $1 million. That's just so old school. Quality focused. Am I actually converting this stuff? Am I in the traffic, etc.? Those types of metrics, I think, in KPIs are number one.
Perfect. Love it. Second question. If you could only ask 3 interview questions, which obviously is sacrilege, but if you could only ask 3, you've got 5 minutes and you know you have to make those calls. What are the 3 questions that you're going to ask?
Yeah, I reckon, again, in this market, you know, you can sit here and qualify, you know, tell me about a time that you know, drove influence with no budget or something like that. Like, they're great questions. I think in this market, understanding candidates' motivators and why they would leave are questions that we should be spending more time on. With the amount of buybacks or counter-offers that are taking place or candidates changing mind, consultants just need to get better at truly understanding if someone's ready to leave. So it's things like getting ballsy and saying, what would your current employer need to do to retain you or keep you in the business? Ask that question.
That's a great question.
And then they'll spit out all the reasons why they might stay. And then you follow it up with, okay, have you had that conversation with your employer and how did that experience go? Right? And that insight, then when you might come across a wobbly candidate or, hey, my employer's giving me an extra $10,000 or whatever, you've got the data to say to them, actually, well, we had a conversation and this is what you were wanting. This is what you were needing. So another good question is, where do you see yourself in the business in the next 3 to 5 years? And is that achievable?
I love it.
Now they can sitting there reflecting, going, oh, well, I see myself in a head of role. That means my manager has to leave, and my manager's not leaving in the next 3 to 5 years. So my career aspirations actually don't align with my current employer. So they could pay you an extra $10,000, but your career aspirations will never be met. So why are you staying? Why are you going? So you can have a much more robust conversation, I think, with your candidates and truly understand their drivers and motivators.
I love it. So the 3 interview questions were, again, motivations.
Yeah, what was your current employer?
Yep.
What could your current employer do or provide to retain you?
Yep.
Have you had that conversation with your employer, and what was that experience like?
Mm-hmm.
And where do you see yourself, or can you see yourself in the business in the next 3 to 5 years, in what role, what capacity? Or where do you see yourself in the business in 3 to 5 years?
Yeah, fantastic. I'm going to skip the next question. And I'm sorry for everyone at home. Someone decided to start drilling on my bloody roof, so I'm not sure if we can edit that out, but it's still in my head in. Those 3 questions kind of lead straight into how do you handle counteroffer. So I'm going to skip to that one because I think that that they're probably related, right?
Yeah, absolutely. Your counteroffers, first thing you do is us recruiters need to stop patronising and guilting our candidates that look at counteroffers and say that 68% of people accept a counteroffer are back on the market in 6 months' time. Because we all know that 72% of statistics are made up, right? Mm-hmm. Respect the decision if that's what they've made.
On a long enough timeline, 100% of people quit. Right.
Exactly right. So stop, and that's just such a short-term mindset for consultants. Like you got to be thinking long-term, long game. If you just respect that decision, work with them, try and influence the outcome if you can. But ultimately, they've made their choice. Respect it and let it go, because they might be a hiring manager in 2 years' time, and you've got a strong relationship with them that you can then leverage for business, right? But if a candidate's considering a counteroffer, you've missed the boat early on to manage that.
Yeah.
Counteroffers are handled at interview 1.
You know from day dot whether this person's right for a counter or not. And a lot of times you just go, I'm not working with you because you got no tangible reason for leaving, and you've pretty much said you would take a counter offer if it was $1 more.
Yeah. Absolutely. Again, as I said with the questions before, like being direct, if your company offered you an extra $10,000, what would you do? And they'll be like, your next response is, well, go ask them for an extra $10,000.
Yeah, 100%.
See what happens.
Yep.
Because when they say no, they'll come back to you and be even more motivated, right?
Yeah.
So, and then every step along the way, has anything changed since we last spoke? That sort of stuff. That's how you manage counteroffers. You don't manage counteroffers once they've been counteroffered. You're too far behind the 8 ball.
That's why I love it. It's like why I love working with people who have been made redundant. A lot of people go, "Ooh, it might be a bit of stink." Like, no, there's no counteroffer risk. Let's go, baby.
Yes, spot on. Yeah. It's that idea of you want a candidate that is like urgent. I need to change. I need to go. Couple that up with a client that has an urgent need, like a true urgent need. Then that's the sweet spot. Right?
Oh, it is. Oh, it can never be done fast enough for us recruiters. I genuinely, I had a placement happen this week, and I'm trying to talk in code here. The person said, "I'll resign on Friday," and I literally just got off the phone with them, and they said, "You won't believe it. I can't resign today because someone in the business had a death in the family, and it's just, I can't do it to them." I said, "You could have resigned yesterday." And they're like, I know. So time's everything, right? Timing is always like now, because you never know what's going to happen tomorrow. Someone could be drilling on your roof while you're trying to do a podcast.
Pull the band-aid off, rip the band-aid off. There's never the right time to leave a business.
That's it.
It's going to be the perfect, circumstances that align. Just get it done with.
That's it.
The candidate does take 24 hours or 48 hours maybe to resign. Then if you're not switched on to that, going, something might be up here, and then giving them a call or having a conversation with them, or probably betterly actually getting in front of them and having a coffee, you're opening yourselves up for counter-offers and buybacks of losing candidates every day of the week.
100%. Oh, I like that. Buyback. I like that. I've never heard of it that way. It is. That's what it is. I'm buying it back. Come on. Yeah. Zooming through it. So what is your best closing line when you've got the offer out or you're getting to that offer stage with a candidate? What's the closing line? What's the approach?
Yeah. Again, and I'm probably seeing a bit of a theme here around qualification, but it's questions like, before we get the offer, is there anyone else that you need to consult with about changing jobs? Family members, partners, wives, husbands, etc.
Right.
Like, have they gone through all of that? Because you'd hate, to get home and, honey, love, got a new job. You're not changing jobs. We've just applied for the mortgage, don't forget.
Yeah.
We need consistent employment. Yes, forgot that happened.
Happens more often than you think.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. Especially in times like today, these with the way things are going. Those sorts of questions I think are really, really good at that closing stage of a candidate. Other ones are like, that trial close that we sort of talk about within the sector, or preempting. If I was to get the offer at X, would you accept?
Yep.
Yes or no. And just putting, testing the water before you get the offer.
There's something quite remarkable that happens, asking the question, if we were to get you this, what are we doing? Yeah, absolutely, I'm taking it. Or, I'm not sure, I'd have to think about, then it opens up the next question, doesn't it? What do you need to think about?
Exactly right. What's there to get?
Because if you just give them that offer, if you're young and you're a recruiter listening, never give a candidate an offer if you haven't asked these questions, because what you're going to do is go, here's the offer, and all of a sudden they go silent on you and cold. You can't ask those questions anymore because you've given them everything they need.
The trial close is the most underutilised tool that recruiters have to ensure they have confidence in the candidate accepting the job, and then being able to communicate with a client. Nothing worse than you as a recruiter calling a client saying they've pulled out after they've offered. Like that puts you in a bad spot. So, because it's also the add-on to those questions is, so if I get the offer at X as discussed, are you comfortable if I verbally accept on your behalf, facilitate an employment contract? Yes or no?
100%.
Right?
100%.
So then they're empowering you,
Yep.
and they're saying, "Yeah, I'm in." You say yes, right? They're giving you the control of that deal.
Yeah. Oh, but I need to review. But I need to. But yeah. Okay. What are the buts? What are the buts? Think of me. We're at an auction. Like you're on you've got no reception in your phone. I'm the guy that's going to bid on this thing for you. Like, I can't just guess. Tell me what you need. Let's go.
And this is what now you get me excited. Maybe I need to get back.
You haven't done deals in a while.
I haven't actually done a deal in a while. It's quite, it's good. Because this goes back to what we spoke about before around quality conversations and quality connections. Right? If you really master that quality stuff, then all this other stuff is I can't say it's not going to happen, but it's easier to manage, and you reduce the risk of losing that, right? Which then increases your conversion rate. You're having better quality conversations, better outcomes. Better outcomes for you means more placements. More placements means
yeah. And you know what? A quality conversation at the start can sometimes dictate, I'm not working with this person because it's not going to work. We can't get the money they want. We can't do the timing they want. There are too many roadblocks. So you're saving yourself time as well by being thorough sometimes.
Well, we'll probably get, that's probably another podcast, right? How recruiters need to learn to say no better.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. Oh, 100%. It's a hell yeah or a hell no. No middle ground. Like, I've got that rule in my office. It's like, they go, I'm not sure. I'm like, after we talk, it's a hell yes or a hell no. That's it. And it's the best. It's the best. No middle ground.
Early on in the days, I remember working some jobs that I was just like, why am I doing this? Why do I have this job? What am I doing?
Exactly. All right, I'm conscious of the clock here. So last question. How do you get yourself out of a slump?
Yes. It's easy. We say call your mates.
Yep.
Right? Who in your network are your friends?
Yep.
Pump your eyes up. You can tell you're amazing. You just do some very easy BD where you're just chatting with your mates who you can just get back into that rhythm. That's one. And then from a practical level, just time box your tasks. So just block out 30 minutes, I'm going to punch out A, B, C. Bang, have a 10-minute break. 30 minutes, I'm going to punch out X, Y, Z, and just get yourself back into the rhythm.
Momentum.
Of doing the doing.
Yeah.
Couple that with, just call your mates in the industry for a yarn. You do that for a couple of days, you should be right. And go home, just get a good night's sleep and come back and realise it's just recruitment.
100%. Another day.
Nice.
Yeah, I love it. Mate, That was excellent. They are quality answers from a quality recruiter. Maybe you should get back on a desk, show the little guys how it's done. I really appreciate being on. The audience does as well. So we'll wrap that up. For everyone at home, thanks for listening. As always, we are chasing 5-star reviews. So if you're on Spotify or Apple Podcasts or wherever you are listening to this, give us a review, slap us 5 stars. It really helps us grow. And we are growing. We keep growing. Every day I see these numbers go up. I'm getting messages from you recruiters out there, asking certain questions, and I create content around it. So please don't be shy. Reach out. I love it. As always, that's all we have time for you. Have an amazing day, and may all your deals come true.